Small Biz America.
And welcome back to Small Biz America on Biz Talk Radio Network. I am David Wolf. Good to have an organization called the College Benefits Research Group, CBRG, is a college planning organization with a unique model for working with families to find the right fit for their child, not only financially, but also academically and socially as well. So it's a three-pronged model in a whole arena around college planning. They're innovative. It's highly effective. It's a proven model that works. Joining us on the line are Sirot and David Slater. They are the co-founders of CBRG. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Good afternoon.
Nice to be with you.
Absolutely. So first, before we get into the sort of the meat of the segments as we have planned, and we have you for two, what led to the creation of CBRG? How did you each get involved or create this program? What led to it?
Okay, so just as a quickie, we started out in the financial services industry. We were helping parents and all sorts of people with cradle-to-grave planning, and we were very successful. And then we found that a lot of our clients had students that were growing into the college environment, and they really didn't have any direction. And when we started to look around, we realized that it was really not a space that was populated. There were two halves of the coin. You had people that were financial planners that did planning, but they really didn't understand the environment for college. And then there were a lot of college planners out there who were helping out with applications and the process, but they didn't know anything about the college side of it from financial side. So we filled that void.
And I'll tell you from my perspective, David brought me into this kicking and screaming because I said, what do we need to know about college? We need to help our clients save a ton of money so they could pay for it. But the problem became, what happened when families came to us when their kids were already in high school? That long-term savings strategy doesn't work, and that's why so many people find themselves behind the eight ball. So I saw the need, and once we started seeing the difference we could really make in families' abilities to send their kids to colleges that were great for them and be successful, it was something that became a no-brainer.
That's beautiful. And in a very real way, rather, you created the bridge between financial planning in the more traditional sense and the specific capitalization of the college education. So quite innovative. I don't know if anybody else is in your space doing it exactly like you do. I'm going to guess you're pretty unique.
I think that we're unique because we have very strong parts of our organization. Janet Lauren, who's our academic specialist, is highly credentialed, and she is in that space of being the guidance counselor of your dreams. She walks the campuses of 50 to 75 schools a year. She knows not just the campuses, but the administrators and the administrations from going out to meet them. And where we come in is we have an experience and expertise in the actual way that the schools give money. We know what the schools are looking for, and from a financial, side of things, we know what makes sense for students and for parents when they're looking at this.
That's definitely what makes us different, that we truly embrace all sides of planning for college, the financial, academic, and really social fit as well.
Okay, so really you're involved with the selection on all levels, Stephen and David. By the way, I should mention the website is cbrg.info, and we're talking about their method for college financial planning around college and creating a formula that works. So when you first meet with a family, what are some of the first questions you ask?
God. How many kids do you have? How much money have you saved? What are you trying to plan for? There's some general questions that we ask, but a lot of them are just about what the students are looking for and what the parents are expecting. Sometimes parents have high expectations for students that are, tremendous in their school district, but may not be on the national level. And other times we have students and parents that come in and they don't think their student is spectacular, but relatively speaking, we see the potential. So we actually provide a lot of insight to what parents don't see, and we take them out of that range, which is just within the context of their high school.
Fascinating. All right. So in terms of the communication of the budget to a student, how do you recommend parents communicate the financial aspects of college. And this is probably there's a lot of sort of inter-family social sort of emotional intelligence around the way you orchestrate the conversation between them, right? Or reorchestrate the conversation between them. Do I have that right?
You definitely do. And we call this student ownership, right? And it's just a natural way of the parent-child dynamic that parents talk and they really don't think that the kids are listening at all, right? If you've ever seen some of the old Peanuts movies, the parents sound like wah, 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 because that's kind of what the students are hearing. And we all always have an inside joke inside our office that the key to our success is we get to say things parents say all the time to their kids, only the kids listen to us differently. So just because we're not the parents. So, we want it to become clear in this whole process that it's you're the student going to college. This is your experience, and the advantage that you take in this opportunity is your own to really make it successful, and the debt that you might be taking on is going to be there once you're done. And that really affects what your life is going to be like and even the choices that you have after you're done. So we want them to start to see a fuller picture of what we're doing this for. Mm-hmm. You're not going to college for your parents. You're going for yourself. Your parents are trying to do the best they can to help you be successful in that part of the process.
And one other thing that's, I think, on the other side of the equation, we talk to the parents separately before we talk to the students about financial ends of this. And we try to make them understand that it is okay, that whatever they have budgeted for, whatever is making sense, very often you have more than one student going to college. You cannot ignore the fact that you have other students and that you want to help them through. There's only a limited number of funds. And the more that you're able to communicate the honesty of what's going on to the students, the better a partner they become. And we actually make fun of this, but it's true. When your student goes off to buy a car, you don't just send them off to somebody and say, go find a really good car, and they come back with a Borgata or Jaguar or Mercedes, and you go, well, wait a second, you can't buy that. They go, what are you talking about? There's a budget. You go, well, how much? $3,000 per month? No, that's it. Well, then I can't buy a new car. Aha. Well, if you don't give them a budget, how are they supposed to be a partner in this process?
Right. You really are facilitators of what I'll call functional communication about issues which maybe become elephants in the rooms. Of course, it's family per family dependent, case by case scenario, I'm guessing, which really brings to mind another question. You're probably dealing with a vast spectrum of financial capacity to finance education, and you're dealing with different numbers of siblings in a family. So you really, in a very real way, you have to recalibrate everything you do each time. It's a very one-off, highly consultative model.
It is so true. It's definitely unique for every family that we work with because no two students are the same and no two families and their situation is the same. But there are some things that are consistent, and that's the parents really love their kids and they want to give them the best chances of being successful as they can. Mm-hmm. And what's so wonderful about working in our field is that we can show families in almost any situation how they can help set their kids up in the best possible way. And it's definitely rewarding. It's part of this that we love. Because the truth is, since we've incorporated the college planning aspects into our business, we don't make any more income personally than we did before. But the work is incredibly satisfying, and that's what motivates us to do what we do every day.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to ask, what is your revenue model? I got about 30 seconds here. Just tell us how you make money.
Well, we are a fee-based group, so we charge a flat fee for certain services. We do have a la carte for those who are looking for things, but overall it's a fee-based model, and that's how we try to make it work.
Right. So depending on what the family needs, and really when they come to us, in what we're able to offer them. If they come in, they're already in their senior year. There's parts of our service that we just can't offer. We don't have the time for. So it depends on what the family needs, the timing, et cetera, as far as what we're going to charge for the service.
All right. We'll have more with Stephen and David from CBRG after the break. Don't go away. We're talking about college. Don't go away. I'm visiting with Stephen Sirot and David Slater. They are the co-founders of CBRG, a very innovative system for helping families and students understand and execute around capitalizing college. So welcome back, gentlemen.
Thank you.
And I should mention the website, cbrg.info, for those listening that want to learn more about how Stephen and David are doing what they do. Magical stuff. What has surprised you since you've been in this business, either from the parental side or the child side or the student side? What has surprised you? What did you not expect people to be tripping over around the subject of planning for college and financing it?
One of the biggest surprises is how many families follow more of an emotional path with their first child, and the financial realities don't start hitting them until the end of the senior year. They've already gotten their acceptances, and now they're looking at what the costs really are. And especially if they've got more than one kid, we've worked with families that have 5 kids.
Yeah.
Too many times they get in over their head for their first kid, and they realize that they're not able to offer the same kind of opportunities to their other kids as they did with their oldest. And that's just a place that people don't want to be in. And so we take great pride in helping craft a plan for all their kids the first time we're working with the family.
Right.
The other thing that we find is, from a financial side, we find that parents are not aware of what goes on in the financial aid world. They've set up 529 plans for each of their 3 kids, and they're so excited because they think that they're all going to be counted in their little separate groups. And then they go to have their first student go into college, and the guidance has not been exactly credible because the financial aid forms lump all of their 529s into their first student, leaving them with a very large expected family contribution. And then they're like, we're not getting any money. So it's a little bit disconcerting to see the unplanned planning that parents think when they walk in with us.
Right.
That's fascinating. So, and there is this concentration, by the way, this happened to me and my family with a camera. We took all our pictures of our firstborn, and there are no pictures of my second child. I have no idea why that happened. So, yeah, this sort of plays out in different ways. So the 529 actually can, if they have one, it's only going to fund the first child. Did I hear you right?
It's not even that it'll fund the first child. It's that it's a parent asset, and therefore, even if they have 3 kids and they put in equal amounts into 3 different 529s with 3 different beneficiaries, it all gets counted as if it's going to be used for the first kid going to school in regards to financial aid.
I see. Oh, and yes, in terms of the aid. Got it. Okay.
Right.
So you have created. Well, let me back up a step. We talked offline during the break about herd mentality. Talk to me a little bit about how you frame this out amidst the planning you help folks do.
Well, first, it's important to understand that that high schools are out there, and they have guidance counselors that do a tremendous job with what they're trying to accomplish, which is getting everybody in the school, which could be hundreds and thousands of students, up through the ranks to the colleges. They have to get, for each student, maybe 5 or 10 schools. You have to get all of the materials and all of the grades and all of the scores, and et cetera, up to schools in a way that has to make sense. And colleges are recruiting at those individual schools. So what we find is that you're going to see the same 10 or 12 schools very often floating around on the list of similar students at similar schools in their high school. And that means that you have a lot of people that are applying to the same places, and they have expectations, and an unfulfilled expectation can lead to upset.
Right, and if they're mostly focusing on, 10 to 20 colleges, then they haven't truly allowed themselves to potentially find great schools that are in the other almost 3,000 colleges that are out there. So I just find that the herd mentality, unfortunately, leads to very, very limited choices. And the worst part about it is the story that they're believing is that if they don't get into one of these 10 colleges, that they're not going to have success. They're not going to have great job offers when they're done, right? They're going to go to a quote-unquote lesser school, and it could just be that they haven't heard of the school. Well, guess what? We're in this business, and if you ask me to name all 3,000 schools, I couldn't do it. So you want to do your homework. You want to do it right. You don't want to limit your choices when you're starting out in this process.
You mentioned early in the segment, and I know this from looking at your material, that you also deal with the social aspect. So my question is how do you qualify or quantify that across a database of 3,000 schools, and how do you tend to think about that as you listen to the expectations, the needs, the nuances of a family, and how they see it?
I mean, part of it is finding the right fit for your student and your family, and you want to focus on what are the attributes of the school. Mm-hmm. Is it big? Is it small? Is it in the city? Is it rural? Is it a lot of Greek life going on there? Is there a lot of sports? What kind of clubs and activities? So you want to know what the school is all about, but then you also have to relate what's best for you and your family in that school, right? So if I love a big school because it's got, hundreds of choices, but yet I'm tepid in my personality, so I wait for opportunities to come to me, that's not going to happen in most big schools, right? Yeah. You'll sit there and you'll stay in your dorm room. But if you go to a smaller school like a Muhlenberg or something, well, you could try to hide in your dorm room, but somebody's going to seek you out and find you and get you out of that room and get you involved and make sure that you're adjusting and attending your classes and if you need anything. So you want to make sure that the right fit is looking at both ways. And so that opens up that line of communication. And then we want to make sure that we're discussing with our students what's expected once they go. So they wanted to touch on our end of the process.
So at the end of our process, we have a meeting after the student has successfully accepted an award and is going to go to a school. And we sit down with the parents and the student, and we congratulate everybody and do the high fives. And then we start talking of what we call our contract of expectations. We explain to the students that the school may have given them an offer, which is really nice, and it requires them to maintain a certain GPA, and that they have a certain amount that they can borrow in their own name, but the remainder of it is coming from somebody else. Either it's going to come from savings or they're going to have to co-sign loans for this. Mm-hmm. And we try to talk about what is going to be the required GPA. What would be something that's going to make sense for the family and how it goes? And then what are the bonuses? What are the expectations by this year getting into what? Are we going to be going into the workforce? Are we going to be going into graduate school? When do you want to be home? If you want your parents to have any requirements in that regard. So all of that feeds into the next communication that we have to have, which is how do students and parents interact while they're at school.
Fabulous stuff, gentlemen. We're getting to the end of this segment. The website for CBRG is the same, cbrg.info. David Sirot and David Slater, Stephen Sirot and David Slater have been our guests. They're experts on the subject of funding, designing, engineering, a successful college experience for you and your family, the student and their family. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us.